It's been a couple of years since I've uploaded. Jesus Christ, I've left you guys hanging like Logan Paul's career back in 2018. I want to make it up to you, but I don't know how to, so I'm going to make this movie together and actually try and make a good enough video to try and help you guys enjoy and figure out a way to make you all enjoy per se. The subtitles at the bottom are going to be wrong because I don't have the time to correct them, so that's going to be interesting. If you guys want to figure out where I've been for the past couple of years, hit the left right hand side of your guys' screen. It'll take you to my channel and you'll be able to see where I've been. I've been banned on one account because I got hacked. That's a bit of a ripperoonie, so I hope you guys enjoy.
I'm a booty eating bandit, yeah.
Little information about Izuku and the actual dragon that actually left the babies behind. Of course, we're not going to make Izuku an actual biological father, are we? Yet. Izuku, when he finds the baby dragons, would be literally around when he hits the second year of the UA actual journey. So by the time the Shigaraki events and that would have ended, and Izuku would be crowned the strongest. But we're not going to get into that just yet. Let's just begin at the mere start of it. Those little babies that got left behind would near enough be 3 years old or pushing 3. They'll be more or less 2, but they will be pushing 3 years of age. So I'm just bumping their age to actually being 3. Then it saves me time while editing this. So let's just begin before I spoil the entire thing. And also one last thing, you guys can decide on the mother for the baby dragons. So be creative, don't just say Momo or Mirako, be creative. Let's just begin with Izuku walking around UA campus, just having a little walking session to warm up his muscles before he actually starts jogging. As Izuku was warming up and everything, Izuku could feel something was off, but he didn't know what it was. As Izuku was just started to run and jog his way forward, Izuku could hear some crying from a distance. As Izuku tried to figure out what this was, Izuku got closer and closer to the crying, as at this point he's out of UA campus. As Izuku got closer and closer to the crying, as the crying got louder, as Izuku arrived at the situation, he could see a cardboard box, but Izuku didn't know why there was a cardboard box right at this situation. As Izuku opened the box to see two baby girls, with one looking older than the other, with one of them looking 3 years old, while one of them looking 1 year of age. As Izuku helped them up and put his shirt all up around them so he can help them get comfortable and warm. "Excuse me, are you okay?" Izuku said, asking the 3-year-old. As she tried to speak, but no words came out, only a nya. As Izuku thought it was cute, but that was not the right time to think that, as Izuku picked both of them up and carried them back gently. He didn't want to hurt them, of course. As Izuku carried her back to UA, as Izuku arrived right into Recovery Girl's office before she could leave, as the Recovery Girl would have asked Izuku what was wrong, as Izuku would have pulled down his jacket to see 2 baby girls, as Recovery Girl, without thinking, would have instantly done her grandmother instincts and opened the door and Izuku set the babies down onto the bed, as Recovery Girl examined them to make sure they were okay. As all the examining for the kids were done, she couldn't find a single DNA match to the parents, so she's gonna have to go into the system, she said under her breath. As Izuku would have heard a glimpse of that and instantly said no, they're not going in there. "Wait, what?" she said. "I'm not letting 2 baby girls like this to go into the system at such a young age," Izuku said. As Izuku picked them both up and carried them to the nearest seat. As Izuku instantly said to them, Hey there, would you don't mind if I protect you, do you?" Izuku said with a smile. "I know that doesn't make sense. I haven't told a story in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, probably a month. So please cut me some slack here. I'm trying to make as best as possible without a script at the moment." As they both shook their heads, saying they didn't mind it, as they both clung to Izuku for dear life. As Izuku held them there in the chair for the rest of the night, as they both were sleeping. As the next day arose, his Recovery Girl entered in her office to see them both still there. As she shook Izuku's arm, Hey Zuko, it's time for class, she said, feeling like a mother waking up her son for the first time to go to her first day of school. As Recovery Girl would have knocked Izuku in the head just a little bit with her cane, like she's just on my when he does something reckless. Indeed, as the two babies started to wake up as they just as they both woke up to see Izuku's face, as they both just smiled knowing that that wasn't an actual dream, as they both held on to Izuku again and held him even more, as Recovery Girl pulled out some clothes, and also you need to wash them and dress them if you're becoming their new guardian, aka their new father, she said under her breath, for that last part of course, as Izuku dressed them, with one of them being a bit hesitant but still going along with it. As Izuku dressed them as they both walked out of Recovery Girl's office, as Izuku went back to the dorms to get ready. As the moment Izuku finished getting ready, they could see the two girls a little bit frightened, as the moment they saw Izuku, they instantly rushed back to him, hugging him tightly. Nya, 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 they both said in unison, with one of them having more of a babyish tone to their voice, with one of them being at least 2 years old. So that's at least, yikes, they can't speak in correct sentences, so that's a bit just there for a reason. As Izuku picked them both up and held them both in his arms. It's okay, don't worry, I won't be gone for long, he said, but those both didn't let go of him. So Izuku thought, screw it, I'll just take him to class. As Izuku walked with them until he reached the Class 1A doors. As Izuku instantly walked in, as all the girls just stared at him weirdly, as they both had expressions saying, Izuku, you're a bit late, where were you? Until Izuku turned around to close the door, as they both saw two little looking types of dragon babies being held in Izuku's arms. As all the girls, including Momo and everyone else, rushed to Izuku, looking at them, about to poke them, but one of them just burped fire onto Mina's hands, burning and shinding her hand just a tiny bit. Hey, that's adorable, Izuku said, as one of them just burped again, this time only letting out some steam. As Izuku just went to go sit down, but the moment he sat down, all the girls surrounded him, asking him why he was carrying two baby girls. Is he babysitting? No, Izuku doesn't have any aunties except from my mother, Bakugo said. As Bakugo was looked back, finally trying to give a shit, looking back to see Izuku holding two baby girls. Hey, nerd, is those yours? Bakugo said. No, they're not, Izuku said. You sure? It seems like that one of them has your dad's fire breath. You sure that's not yours? Yes, I am sure. I got Recovery Girl yesterday to do some DNA tests on them. They're not mine, and they're not no one else's because they can't find a DNA match, Izuku said, as Izuku went to go sit down once again. As he sat down, both of the two girls fell asleep in Izuku's arms until Aizawa walked in, as the two girls started to slowly wake up, being groggy. As one of them started to cry, it being the youngest one, being scared of Aizawa, as Izuku instantly held her in his arms, putting more pressure in, able to make her comfort, her being more comfortable around Izuku thanks to his body warmth. Somehow it's making her calm down. Do not take this the pervert way, you goddamn degenerates. I see one of you literally doing it. Stop there right now, criminal scum. So let's just cut to the end of the day, as Izuku was sitting in class until his mother was finally called. As Inko finally arrived into the UA campus buildings, as she walked in to see Izuku on the couch, or the actual common room area, with two baby girls, but she didn't see that until she instantly went in front of Izuku. As she went there, she saw the two, and instantly tried to grab one of them, but with Mina, it did the same thing, as she burped off fire, but this time it being the 3-year-old, as Inko would have been really confused at that, asking the same question Bakugo did, but it got denied almost instantly by Recovery Girl entering in the room. as Recovery Girl would have actually announced that Izuku is now the taker of the 2 baby girls until further notice, as she would have given some forms to Izuku to adopt them, as Izuku looked down at them, asking them, "Is it okay if I change your last name to Midoriya?" Izuku said, as one of the 3-year-old girl, or the 3-year-old girl in general, would have nodded her head, with the 2-year-old girl just snuggling to no, and that would be the indicator of yes, as Izuku would have signed the papers and made up some names, which that'll be lead to you guys. Please comment them down in the comment section down below. As Izuku would have made up some names, let's just give them some random names like Kana and Kitsu. Kitsu being the actual oldest, while Kana's the youngest. Let's just get that out of the way. As Izuku would have said Kana and Kitsu, as I've just said. As Izuku would have just said, "Kitsu, you okay with that?" Izuku said. As she nodded her head. As Izuku would have carried on with the day, signing the papers and knowing everything else. As Nezu would have been contacted around this time, as everything would have been explained to him, asking him to make a daycare for Izuku's 2 new children. As Izuku would have just brought them to the daycare, but this is a key factor when it comes in, as this way actually make you heartwarm, but not in that way. It's basically cute. As Izuku was walking in as he dropped them off, before he could leave, one of them extended wings from their back, this being the 3-year-old, and shouted, "Papa, Papa, Papa," she said out loud, this catching Izuku's attention, instantly rushing back, having the mother's instinct, but in this case, the father's instinct to protect his babies, as Izuku instantly picked both of them up and hugged them, calmed them down, as Izuku instantly realized one of the baby girls called him Papa. "Hey Kitsu, sweetheart, did you just call me Papa?" Papa, she said again, as Izuku instantly hugged them and stayed the rest of the day with them. As Izuku, after that day went along, they managed to actually get more and more comfortable with the staff, as Nemuri at midnight would have actually got a whiff of what would happen with her personality. She would have instantly rushed into their dorm rooms and tried to pick one of them up from the floor when Izuku was playing with them, same with Inko, as Inko would have wrapped her head around actually being a grandmother to 2 baby girls, as she would have just played with them as well. But the moment Nemuri entered the room, both of the baby girls went straight to Inko and Izuku, Kana going to Izuku and Kitsu going to Inko, with Itsu actually being more and more welcoming of Inko thanks to the actual smell. If you guys didn't know, dragons have a sense of smell to actually know that. I'm pretty sure you guys would know that if you're watching What If Deku was the father of 2 baby dragons. As let's just carry on, as Nemuri would have saw that and instantly thought it was cute, and instantly tried to rush at them, as she would have tried to grab Kana, but her starting to cry, Izuku out of rage, yes, Izuku has fatherly rage, punched Nemuri right in the face with 5%, but launching off with 10%, punching Nemuri through a wall, her being knocked almost clean out. "Do not touch my babies," Izuku said. But the moment Izuku realized that, he instantly comforted Kana and Kitsu in his arms, them being less cryable, if that makes sense, as Izuku settled them both down to bed. Thank you all for watching this video. Sorry if my storytelling wasn't as good as what it used to be. I'm going to make it and practice a lot more with this in part 2. Part 2 should be released out very, very shortly. Thank you all for waiting. Thank you all for waiting for me to get a new mic, and see you all later. As Lana, I can't remember her name, I do apologize, said, "Papa, me, can I have food?" she said in a full sentence, shocking him. As Izuku wondered why she was saying sentences now, maybe she picked up a bunch of stuff when she would, as Izuku's eyes widened, thinking she might see a swear word next, as Izuku was on guard all through the day, not knowing what she was going to pick up next. As Izuku was walking through the halls of UA, as Izuku came across Eri and Mirio walking hand in hand to make sure Eri was okay. As Mirio saw Izuku walking past with 2 dragons, or baby dragons, in his hands. As Mirio walked up to Izuku and asked him who those 2 were, as Izuku replied saying, "Oh, these 2 are my adopted daughters," Izuku said. As Eri looked at them saying, "Hey Deku-kun, who are they?" she said very innocently. As Eri asked this, as Izuku got on one knee and showed them to her, as Kana was a little bit hesitant at first but touched Eri's finger, symbolizing Kana trusts Eri with her life. As Eri asked if she could hold Kana, as Izuku would have replied saying, "Of course, but we need to go sit down first to make sure you don't accidentally drop her, okay, Eri?" Izuku said, smiling. As this made Lana, I think I said, a little bit jealous, but not to the point where you guys thinking, get your mind out the gutter. As for people who want to know the ships, you'll get in a little bit, okay? As Izuku walked through the corridor to sit down until he finally sat down with them both, as Izuku gave Kana to Eri as they both had a little moment, like 2 sisters, but Eri's the older sister, of course. This kind of relationship vibe made Izuku think, those 2 are going to be really good friends when they're older, Izuku said mentally. As Izuku, Kana, Eri, Mirio and all of them spent time together throughout that day, as Eri walked around with 2 of her bestest friends from then on. As Izuku was walking through UA, he saw Nemori again, as Izuku hid behind a pillar. As Nemori caught wind of what had happened, as she tried to rush through to see if Izuku was just there, but as the moment she walked there, Izuku compared smoke and released it as Izuku blitzed through, dodging Midnight's grasp, making sure she doesn't touch his children. As Izuku put both his kids back to bed and went to sleep, as the next couple of days went out the same as normal, as everything repetitive went as normal until the next month, as Izuku felt something weird in the air, as Izuku's kids, quote unquote, did as well. As Izuku looked up in the air to see a black, voided area, but past the couple of months, it realized that's gotten bigger and bigger. As Izuku decided to investigate it by leaving his 2 favorite little balls of sunshine with Aizawa, just until he can see what this is, because Aizawa couldn't see it, neither could anyone else. As Izuku rushed through to see what this was, as the moment Izuku arrived, he saw a big, giant green dragon with a sword stuck in her behind, or ribcage, you would like to say. As Izuku went to her and asked her if she was okay and she was stuck in her dragon form, as Izuku went closer, closer and closer, until she roared at him, Izuku not flinching in the slightest. Izuku reached out a hand to help her, but she sadly declined it. As Izuku tried to help her more and more, but the more she declined. As Izuku just stayed up and threw the sword straight out of her, being completely surprised the sword didn't kill him. This sword was goddamn Ascalon. How the hell did this not damage you? She thought internally. That sword was meant to burn any mortal that wasn't worthy of wielding it. As Izuku threw the sword far away from the dragon as possible, as Izuku just said to her, "There you go, you're free. Now go along," Izuku said with a smile on his face, catching the dragon's attention. As the dragon turned its head, as it flew off, but this isn't the end of her, as we know. As the moment Izuku arrived back, Izuku was seen with a little bit of green blood on him, but the moment the little girl smelled this, they instantly rushed to their papa and hugged him, as they saw the blood that was left on his shoulder blade, noticing it as one of the girls that is 3 years old smelt it, as she recognized the smell almost instantly. "Auntie Tobu," she said, as Izuku's ears perked up at that. "What do you mean, Auntie Tobu?" She's She's one of our best friends, or one of our sister's friends, and we just call her Auntie, she said very innocently, as Izuku picked one of them up and just asked them see if they could actually track where the actual blood scent was. But Papa, Auntie Toru hasn't been in this dimension for so long, she said, but Izuku just ignored the dimension part, as Izuku took both of his girls to bed and sung them a bed night story as they both nodded off. As you guys may be wondering where Inko is at this point. Well, my friends, she's trying to get back into UA to see our little balls of sunshine. As the moment Izuku woke up, Izuku saw a camping site outside of the dorms. As Izuku shouted who this was, accidentally waking up his two balls of sunshine, as Izuku comforted them both until Izuku went downstairs to see who this was. And it was no other than Inko. Izuku, honey, could you just jump up and let me see my grandbabies again? She said. Yeah, sure, I think I'd just ask, Izuku said, as Izuku grabbed his mother and leaped up to see his two little balls of sunshine sitting there, as Kana and Kira, or Lara, I can't remember her name, I do apologize, I'll make sure I remember this for next time, as they both saw their grandmother and rushed to the she hugged them tightly and laid onto the bed, cuddling them until they heard a loud roar. The two girls started to cry, but Inko calmed them down as Izuku looked outside to see a big green dragon as what he saw before staring at his window, as Izuku shouted at Inko to get them both out of here, but before he could say that, the green light and black aura dragon decided to transform into her human state, which we guys know as Toru, as the green or blonde-haired girl decided to expose herself in a maid outfit, let's just say that, as she cut straight up hugged Izuku and said, "Honey, why you leave me, huh?" she said, as Toru started hugging Izuku, pushing his head further into her breast, as Izuku started to wonder who this girl was until she explained who she was. She is Toru I can't say her last name correctly, I do apologize for that, as their conversation went on for quite a while until Class 1A decided to visit Izuku's dorms to see his two balls of sunshine, as Izuku opened the door unpurposely, not noticing the whole class was there, as Class 1A saw Inko and some random girl in a maid outfit, as Ochako would have just said, "Hey Izuku, who's that?" As Ochako would have pointed at Toru. "Oh, she's just as Toru interrupted Izuku. "I'm Izuku's lover-to-be, who are you?" she said with bloodlust in her tone, this catching all the girls' attention. Well, we just came here to say to Izuku that we she said, putting two of her fingers together and pouting, being scared, of course, as Izuku would have caught on to that and asked them what was wrong, but none of them blurted it out until Izuku asked again. "Why are you here?" Izuku said, acting more of a strong tone, as they both ran off in shock and embarrassed. I'll say this is where we're going to leave it off. Cliffhanger. I know. Thank you all for watching this video, and if you guys want more of this, please let me know by DMing me on Discord, because my Discord is linked in the description down below. It'll be pretty much helpful, or you guys can comment in the comment section down below. And please spam my comment section. Let's see if we can get over 1,000 comments, and I'll make a 1-hour video of this. Thank you all for watching, and goodbye.